Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Lauren Maloney. Vermont lawmakers are receiving compliments from a handful of nonprofits this week after passing this session's big housing bill last Friday night. The bill includes creating a new program designed to make housing development easier for cities and towns, and all it needs now is the governor's approval. ABC 22's Matt Holderman spoke with a former member of the governor's cabinet today to learn more. Matt is now live in the newsroom with the details here.
That's right, Lauren. I had the chance to talk with Josh Hanford today. He was Vermont's housing commissioner from 2019 to 2023 before leaving for a new position, and says this bill will cause a foundational shift in how we spur up new development around the state.
It's about as close as you can get to a silver bullet for them in addressing the housing challenges that they have.
Josh Hanford served as Vermont's top housing official for 4 years, working directly alongside Governor Phil Scott, helping him solve one of Vermont's biggest problems, the housing crisis. Now working with a nonprofit called the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, he works with local governments in addressing their issues and says housing is what almost all of them ask him for help with.
The number one issue that municipalities bring to the league and say they want help with is housing availability and affordability. They really feel like they can't meet their goals.
That's why when the Vermont legislature passed a major housing bill last week, he gave them a round of applause. Hanford says the bill includes a significant initiative called CHIP, the Community Housing and Infrastructure Program. The idea of it would be to allow towns and cities to invest in infrastructure improvements that will make it easier to build new housing, and then letting those towns and cities pay back those investments using the tax dollars that the new houses will generate.
It's really sets up a public-private partnership that allows municipalities to partner with a housing developer that really meets their goals, their needs.
Hanford says other states around the U.S. have deployed this exact same tool as well, but it took some spirited debate before Vermont lawmakers were able to agree on how to implement it here. He says 3 leaders from each chamber met in the final hours of last week to work out their differences and were able to send a final collaborative version of the bill to Governor Scott to try getting his consent. Now, Hanford hopes his former boss likes the bill just as much as he does and gives it his signature soon.
All expectations are that the governor is happy to sign this. I'm not going to speak for the governor, though. You know, we're all actively anticipating and hoping that happens soon.
And should the governor sign the bill, Hanford says the Vermont Economic Progress Council would be in charge of creating and implementing CHIP and could begin accepting applications to it as early as this winter. In the end, he says the legislature agreed to allow up to $200 million of tax increment to go to this over the next 10 years, making it one of the biggest housing investments in state history if it becomes law. Reporting live in the newsroom, Matt Holderman, ABC 22 News.